No living human being, at least not in the United States Senate, with a beating heart understands the Senate rules. I'm not saying no one understands them. I'm just saying nobody in the Senate does. They say they do. They lie like fish swim. Because to understand, you don't only have to understand the rules, you've got to understand all the precedents. The first 6 months I got here, I said, I'm going to learn the rules. I'd read about Lyndon Johnson, who supposedly sat here and learned all the rules and outsmarted all his colleagues. I don't believe that. But anyway, he probably knew more than I did, God rest his soul. But after 6 months, here's what was my conclusion. I don't know if I can learn the rules and all the precedents, and by the time I do, they will have changed. And someday I'm going to die, and I don't want on my tombstone, Kennedy understood the Senate rules. So I gave up. I quit. No mas. And so now when I want to understand the rules, I talk to a member of our staff like Tony or some of my colleagues. And so do most of my Senate colleagues on the Democratic side and the Republican side. Now, our staff could be lying to us because we don't know any better. They could make this stuff up, but I don't think they do. I've never seen Tony make it up.
In a moment that quickly turned into one of the most entertaining speeches heard on the Senate floor in years, Senator John Kennedy delivered a hilarious yet heartfelt tribute to a departing Senate staffer named Tony Hanakin. What began as a routine acknowledgement soon transformed into a witty and charming speech that had senators laughing, applauding, and reflecting on the people who quietly keep government running behind the scenes. Kennedy's unique storytelling style, filled with sharp humor and unexpected jokes, brought attention to the unsung heroes of Capitol Hill. As the chamber listened closely, Kennedy described the hidden world of Senate staffers, the chaos of Senate rules, and the countless moments of humor shared with Tony over the years. The speech not only entertained but also reminded viewers that behind the serious debates of Washington are real relationships and genuine appreciation. By the time Kennedy reached his final words, the chamber responded with laughter and applause. This moment quickly captured attention online because it revealed a rare side of the Senate, one that combines humor, gratitude, and respect for the people who make the institution work. What followed was a speech packed with jokes, stories, and a heartfelt send-off that many viewers are calling unforgettable.
Mr. President, I'm going to give you a name. Tony Hanakin. As we all know, not necessarily everybody outside this chamber, Tony is a senior floor assistant. Now, I'll come back to what that means in a second. Tony is leaving us for the private sector. Under the ethics rules, he can't tell us where he's going. I think it's a startup, but I'm not sure. I think part of his job responsibilities, not exclusive because I don't know, because he can't talk about it, will be, quote, congressional relations. I have strongly encouraged him to ask the startup to define very carefully what they mean by congressional relations in light of what's been going on around here. Though we kid him a lot, I'll come back to that too. Tony's very, very smart. He's a graduate of William and Mary. I'm sure there are some dummies at William and Mary, but I've never met one coming out of there. It's a great school. He's also spent time at the Wharton School studying their model budget project. He has worked his way up as a member of basically a Senate advisor. And let me explain a little bit what Tony and his colleagues do. You see these two doors back here, this one and this one. This one leads to what we call the Democratic cloakroom. This door leads to what we call the Republican cloakroom. Now, that's where senators go to cuss and to tell each other lies. But it's not the only purpose of those. Supposedly we can go back there and relax, and when someone isn't around, and sometimes when they are around, make fun of people. But there are members of our staff who have desks back there. And not every member of our staff has a desk back there. Some are close by. What do? They make this place run. For one thing, they understand the rules, or claim to. No living human being, at least not in the United States Senate, with a beating heart understands the Senate rules. I'm not saying no one understands them. I'm just saying nobody in the Senate does. They say they do. They lie like fish swim. Because to understand, you don't only have to understand the rules, you've got to understand all the precedents. The first 6 months I got here, I said, I'm going to learn the rules. I'd read about Lyndon Johnson, who supposedly sat here and learned all the rules and outsmarted all his colleagues. I don't believe that. But anyway, he probably knew more than I did. God rest his soul. But after 6 months, here's what was my conclusion. I don't know if I can learn the rules and all the precedents, and by the time I do, they won't have changed. And someday I'm going to die, and I don't want on my tombstone, Kennedy understood the Senate rules. So I gave up. I quit. No mas. And so now when I want to understand the rules, I talk to a member of our staff like Tony or some of my colleagues. And so do most of my Senate colleagues on the Democratic side and the Republican side. Now, our staff could be lying to us because we don't know any better. They could make this stuff up, but I don't think they do. I've never seen Tony make it up. A couple of times I thought I'd caught him, but he turned out to be right. And that's important. But it's more than just understanding the rules. That's more than Tony's job and my colleagues' job, who are our advisors. It's more than just learning the rules. Because the rules look like they were designed by a heroin addict with a socket wrench, we don't know how to get things done. So we go to our advisors and say, tell me how to do this. And they're really good at that. Tony's really good at that. And I know sometimes the questions are so esoteric and so bizarre. I can tell from their eyes that they want to look at you and say, you're not the stupidest person I've ever met, but you better hope the stupidest person I've ever met doesn't die. But they never do that. They always say, okay, you can try it that way, but here's the downside of it. And with all due respect, there's a better way of doing it. And you might consider this. And frankly, our parliamentarian, I see her here, she does understand the rules, and she's pretty good at helping you too. Now, she's got lines she can't cross, but because she doesn't work for Senate, for Republicans or Democrats. But this is what Tony does and the other staff members. And they make this place run. They're not responsible for the fact that the Senate only works when everybody isn't crazy at the same time. And they're not responsible for the fact that sometimes it takes us weeks, months, even years to get nothing done. Doing nothing, it can be frustrating. Doing nothing is very hard because you never know when you're finished. But they make this place run. And we're going to miss Tony. Now, we make fun of Tony. It's all in good fun. We used to, there's a big mirror back in the cloakroom, I think it's an antique mirror, that's what they tell us. And sometimes I've done it, but others I think have too. Sometimes we'll write little notes to the majority leader. We used to do it with Mitch, and now we do it sometimes with Thune, and sign it Tony. And of course, they all have a heart attack. Tony keeps a couple of pairs of shoes under his desk. And probably about once a week, some of us take at least one of the shoes and hide it. And he's ready to go home at whatever, 11 o'clock, midnight, and he can't find his shoe. And Max, who works with him back there, his job is to eventually, after he spends an inordinate amount of time and gets really close to the point that he has no more fire trucks to give and is going to start telling everybody what he thinks. Max will tell him what the shoe is. I've got some other stories about Tony, but I just can't tell them because there are probably some children listening. But anyway, you will read about Tony someday in the Wall Street Journal. And it won't be because he went Eric Swalwell. It will be because of his financial success. And we're going to miss him. But I can't blame him. He's already picking out the color of his new Mercedes. You know Mercedes-Benz, Mr. President, if you've got any advice for him, like the best one that deflects heat, you might want to talk to him. He may want to just buy two, okay? But anyway, we're going to miss Tony, and I wanted to say that, and I'm sorry I can't tell you all the Tony stories. They are legendary, but Tony, you've just been awesome. And you and all your colleagues, we never talk about them enough. And I just want to thank you. And my final words, peace out. Thank you.
In the end, Senator Kennedy's speech reminded everyone why his voice continues to stand out in the Senate. While politics can often feel tense and overly serious, Kennedy managed to deliver a moment that combined humor, honesty, and genuine appreciation. His words highlighted the often unseen work of staff members who quietly keep the institution functioning every single day. By using wit and storytelling, he turned what could have been a routine farewell into a memorable tribute that resonated far beyond the chamber. Kennedy's ability to connect with people through humor made the moment feel authentic and refreshing. Instead of relying on stiff political language, he spoke in a way that ordinary viewers could understand and enjoy. That authenticity is exactly why his speeches frequently capture attention and spark applause. Moments like this show that leadership is not only about debate and legislation, it is also about recognizing the people who make the system work behind the scenes. By celebrating Tony Hanneken with such warmth and humor, Kennedy demonstrated respect for the hard-working staff who rarely receive public recognition. His remarks reminded everyone that government is not only shaped by elected officials, but also by the dedicated individuals working quietly in the background. In a chamber often filled with intense disagreements, Kennedy delivered a speech that united the room through laughter and gratitude. That is why this moment stood out, because it showed Kennedy at his best, sharp, witty, and sincere. His tribute honored a valued colleague while giving viewers a rare and entertaining glimpse into life inside the Senate. In doing so, Kennedy proved once again that even in the most serious halls of power, a well-timed sense of humor and genuine appreciation can leave a lasting impact.